My mother had a photograph taken in the early 1900s of her wearing, she was only a tiny little girl, of her wearing button-up boots and a little dress with pin tucks all the way across. And I thought for Mother's Day, one year, it would be nice to make her a journal to put her recipes in so she can hand them down to everybody, or whatever notes she wanted to make. And today I'm going to show you how to make the memory lane journey with the little buttons and tabs and the pin tucks. Hi there, my name's Elizabeth and I like to sew smart. And for our memory lane journal cover today, you will need one hardcover journal. You can get these quite cheaply from Officeworks or from the reject shop often. Sometimes you can get them market stalls, but they're very good. Hardcover, 6 inches by 8 inches, and for the depth of the pages you need about 5/8 of an inch, half an inch to 5/8 of an inch. So you'll need one hardcover journal, and you'll need 2 strips of 2-inch fabric that you're going to use for your tabs. You will need lightweight wadding, you will need lining fabric, and you will need fabric cut for the ends inside. For the top cover you will need plainer fabric and then a nice piece that you've chosen. I've chosen this really nice sort of almost Parisian fabric. I think that's really feminine and I'm sure some mum would really love that. Your main cover fabric and wadding will be 14 inches by 9.5 inches. Then you will need a contrast, or you could use the same lining fabric for the slip covers for the end, the little things that your journal fits into. You'll need 2 of those. And all these dimensions, all these sizes are actually on the pattern, which is available in my Etsy shop, of course. You'll need the one piece of contrast that will be this end of the book, which is this piece just here, and then a plainer piece. I've coordinated it with the lining that will go on the top cover as well. I've chosen 3 little white pearly looking buttons. They're about 3/4 of an inch actually, because I like those. And first of all I'm going to show you where we start with the piece of plain fabric, which is this piece that we're going to pin tuck first. This is a 10-inch square that I'm going to use for the pin tucking. Now for the pin tucking you have to iron this 10-inch square in half, press it really well, and then using your 1/4 inch foot you're going to stitch right down here from one end to the other, all the way down, 1/4 inch on your machine, all the way down. So I've stitched that 1/4 inch down here, pressed it down, and I'm going to mark now the crease. Bring the crease up to a line on your board, both sides, and I'm going to draw a line with an iron-off pen, the friction pen, 1 inch from that crease. So I'll draw that line down there, and I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to fold it over, crease it on the line. You can see the line. I'm using purple on purple, which is a little bit hard to see, and I'm going to stitch again 1/4 inch from that crease line. I'm going to repeat that, so I've got 4 pin tucks. So I've done my pin tucks. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. This one was of course my first one. You can just see where I stitched it underneath there. The second one, the crease lines up with the stitch line. It's very bit difficult to see because I'm using cotton that's quite close to the colour of the fabric. The next one lines up to that, and the final one there. You will end up with your last stitch line showing on the top, but underneath you'll see that they're all secured, the pin tucks are all secured down because your line of stitching catches in each time. So the next step is to that way around so you can see it like that. You're going to cut this piece of fabric now. It's going to be 4 3/4 from the edge there across the pin tucks 4 3/4 by 9.5 inches. The next step is to take your 2-inch strip, which is going to be your little button latches, 2 inches. Now you'll need about, in the pattern it says about 16 inches, but you can use bits and pieces. You will need them 4 inches each. So you take that 2-inch strip, fold it in half, then take the outer edges into the center, like so, and over in half again, and then stitch 1/8 of an inch down the open edge here, 1/8 of an inch, and cut those strips into 4-inch pieces. That becomes your button tab. That's the wrong side. It will look like that. This on the back, it will have that little piece on the back, and that's what makes your button tabs. And you're going to have 3 of those, which you can evenly space down the side there before your pin tucks. Placed my button loops approximately 2 inches from either outside edge, and then I centered the middle one, but I am going to secure these, stitching them 1/8 of an inch onto this top pin tuck piece, just to make sure that they stay in place before I put right sides together with the other piece of top fabric. So I've stitched my little button flaps in. I've put my top fabric, which is this nice patterned fabric, my best fabric, right side together with that, stitched it 1/4 of an inch all the way up, catching in the little button tabs. And now I'm going to put all my layers together, which I will start with this, the base, which will be the lightweight wadding. Then my lining fabric goes on top of that. Now I'm using a fabric that has a one-way design, so I have to make sure that when I lay the pockets down, they are facing the right way. So they have to be that way, up, the right way. Then I'm going to lay this on the top of that. It's all 14 by 9.5 inches. Pin it together, and then I'm going to sew, leaving a gap at the bottom to turn about 4.5 to 5 inches. I'm going to sew a generous 1/4 inch seam all the way around, but I'm going to make sure first of all that my layers are all pinned together securely so that I don't get any edges that are not caught in. I've stitched all the way around, leaving the 4.5 inch gap at the top for turning. I have actually as well just trimmed off a little bit of my wadding to make it less bulky when we turn it over. I have also snipped across the corners so get a nice sharp corner when we turn it. Now I'll just pull this through. It'll take a minute. You can pop your hand inside and just push out those corners. They do need to be fairly sharp because you're going to top stitch over the edges. So push them out. You can use the point of the scissors or a little chopstick or something to do that. So you can now see there is my lining, there is the little slip cover which was folded in half. That's the inside, and that will be folded over like that. I'm going to close my gap, but I'm going to machine stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around when I've pressed it, so that you get this nice finished edge off and it will catch in the 1/4 inch seam that you've got there to turn in. So all I'm going to do now is press this out and stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around, right the way around, and then I'll come back, sew my buttons on, and we will be finished. So this is my finished journal cover. you can see roughly the 1/8 of an inch line that I have stitched all the way around. Don't worry if you get it a little bit bigger, there is a little room to play with. My buttons I've just stitched on, just pop that one through there. So I've got those all nicely pulled on. All I need to do now is to slip my journal inside. Now some journals you'll find will be like maybe a 1/4 or 1/2 an inch smaller, but it doesn't matter because you'll just pull it into shape on the top, so you've got a nice sleeve there with the hard cover in. Put it into shape, and there you have your journal cover all complete. If you've enjoyed this little project for Mother's Day, I hope you have, then give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to visit the Etsy shop where this pattern with all the appropriate sizes and fabrics that you will need are listed. And I'll see you next time with another project that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Have fun!